the mainstream media pats itself on the back and takes a victory lap.
Tonight, President Trump is finally nodding to reality, authorizing his team to begin the transition to a Biden administration. The move was made official by the General Services Administration, which will now provide Biden with more than $6 million in transition funding and office space in government buildings. The president implied he had signed off on the move, tweeting, quote, "in the best interests of our country." But even as he took these steps, the president remains unwilling to concede, vowing his case strongly continues. The fact is, the president's case is going nowhere.
Oh, that's what you think, huh?
Today, Michigan made it official, certifying Joe Biden as the state's winner, slamming the door on Trump's frantic efforts, including his summoning of Republican state legislators to the White House on Friday to reverse election results in a state Biden won by over 150,000 votes. Georgia had already certified Biden as the winner, and Pennsylvania today moved closer to doing the same. In the courts, everything is going bust. The Trump team and its allies have suffered some 30 losses.
30 lawsuits, you said, from the president and his allies thrown out. So why now?
Well, look, it's a belated recognition that it's over.
Oh, not so fast, X-Lax. Once again, you guys really don't understand this president and how things work. So, pay attention. Class is now in session. Four years into his presidency, and still the media, the Democrats, libloons, never-Trumpers, rhinos, they still don't understand that the president, first and foremost, is one of the greatest social media trollers ever. And again, they have completely been dismissive and derisive of this man, thinking that he is somehow just a reality TV star who lucked into being president. You know, because he didn't actually become a multi-billionaire because he was smart. No. He just got lucky with daddy's money. You don't get lucky with anybody's money in the New York real estate market and around the world unless you really know what you're doing. And because they don't take Trump seriously on an intellectual level, he just runs circles around him. And that is one of the great strengths that he has. Again, if they would literally just read his books, The Art of the Deal, and the book that I refer to occasionally here, The Art of the Comeback, because they would know that there is something that President Trump loves to engage, that he loves to use, and they just don't understand. In fact, I will call it the art of the diversion. Let me explain how that works. Like a master magician who is really nothing more than an illusionist, he gets you to look at this over here while he's doing something with this hand over here. It's the art of the distraction. It's the art of the diversion. It's get you looking at this, get you talking about this, so that you absolutely miss what he's actually up to. Now, a few of you got upset with me in yesterday's monologue regarding Sidney Powell. She didn't really get fired. Let me tell you, there is a purposeful reason that Team Trump wants to create the fact that there is now distance between them and her. Again, you can split hairs with me and get technical and explain, well, she was never really part of the payroll. I never said she was. By the way, none of the apprenti or apprenti wannabe on the TV show The Apprentice were actually part of the, quote, Trump payroll when he fired them. They were contestants vying for a job. Sidney Powell, and again, this is not to disparage her. As I said yesterday, and some of you were so quick yourselves to jump the shark, you didn't even actually watch the video or listen to the monologue in its entirety. I said she may absolutely be completely right in everything that she is alleging about Dominion voting systems. I don't doubt that. Again, I have said I do believe that fraud on an unmitigated level has taken place during this 2020 election cycle. I have no doubt in my mind that this was absolutely stolen from our president. I believe he won in a tremendous landslide. But she's got to be able to prove that. She can't just go on allegation, and it doesn't help her case when she quotes from really just questionable sites that even, conservatives, liberals, ultra progressives, even people who are really into what we call alternative media look at and go, these guys just don't have a great track record on anything. So, but again, I'm not dismissing Sidney Powell. I'm just saying that she has said some things that are so over the top that it ranks right up there. It's the flip side of the libloons doing their whole Russia, collusion. And President Trump does know that the longer that he is connected with that narrative, that's not good for him. But the president did use that for a time, for a season, because it was the distraction. Hey, look over here. While everybody's looking over there, and while the media is talking about he's had 30 losses in the courts, no, he hasn't, because these lower courts are not the end game. Talking to representatives from certain states about, not certifying the election, that's not the end game. Talking about what we're seeing happen with recounts and what's going on in these states, again, that's not the end game. Here's the Trump strategy. This is the art of the comeback. He knows. You know. I know. We all know there was fraud. The media knows it too. They're just never going to report it straight. As I said yesterday, the deep state want him gone. The military-industrial complex, rhinos, a lot of you're hearing Republican senators from these other states that he's contesting, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they're coming out and saying, Mr. President, you got to stop this. You got the governor of Georgia, saying, Mr. President, you got to stop this. So we admit there's some problems, but you got to stop all this. But look, we know that there are the career politicians within his own party who want him gone. So the fact that they're coming out and saying these things is no big surprise. But none of that is the end game. This is what he wants. This has got to land before the Supreme Court. And not over voting machines that are flipping votes, because again, you better really be able to prove that. And I said the reason that the legal team that did the press conference on Thursday needs to be gone, and I think Rudy Giuliani is a great guy. I am sure he's a wickedly smart lawyer. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a great presenter. It doesn't necessarily mean that he knows how to sell it. Now, he got lost in the weeds, and I know he's got hundreds of witnesses and affidavits, and all of that is great. But again, you don't promise bombshells. The Kraken is coming. And then do that and then think that's your bombshell. He would have been much better off saying, hey, look, we're going to have a press conference. And we're going to kind of walk you through what's going on and what we have at this point. Once you use the word bombshell and then you deliver what you delivered, which then the media can spin as a bomb, well, then you get even your supporters like Chris Christie saying, what an embarrassment. It would have been better to under-promote it, undersell it, deliver what you got, and people go, oh, okay, all right, well, we get where this is headed. But then there was the whole ego thing back and forth between Rudy and Sydney. And don't think that there wasn't, and don't think that that's the reason that Team Trump, one of the reasons they want to distance themselves, but also because what she's doing, it's on a different level, and the way she's fighting this in the courts, it's going a different route than where Team Trump is headed. And what she's trying to do, as I said yesterday, if you had paid attention to the whole monologue, is not something that can be done in a matter of weeks. It is going to take years to litigate that out. And years are not something that the Trump team has right now. Constitutionally speaking, they are under the clock. This is like a basketball game. We got a shot clock here right now. They've got 24 seconds to get this shot off. And it doesn't matter, I hate to break it to ABC News, if they don't make every shot. It doesn't matter if right now they're not making any of those shots. This is all the setup to get to the free throw line. This is all the setup to get it to the Supreme Court, where ultimately the challenge is this. Pay attention. Sydney's over here doing her thing with voter fraud. That's going to take years to put together and prove and have it come out in the way that most of us already know what that outcome should be. But she doesn't have the juice. She doesn't have the full package together. She jumped the shark. Team Trump knows that. But even using her now as a diversion, that's gone. So, what we do, yeah, okay, sure, we'll set up the transition. We'll give Joe some office space. You know, he's got his office of the president-elect anyway. You know, fine. You know, we'll play that little game. I'm not conceding, because this is going to go to the Supreme Court. And then what they want to contest this on is actual constitutional law, not voter fraud. Laws broken. And that has to do with what's being done right now in Georgia, where they're changing laws to accommodate this runoff. The laws that they changed in places like Pennsylvania and Michigan, where the state legislative bodies were excluded. That's a no-no. The Constitution absolutely states that the states are in charge of the elections, but it is the state legislative bodies which must create those laws. The governor can't do it with a stroke of a pen. The Secretary of State cannot do it with a stroke of a pen. An election official cannot do it. It must be approved by the state legislative body. That is a black and white slam dunk. And when you have a Supreme Court that right now has a majority of justices who are letter of the law, they will be strict adherents to the Constitution. Here's what's going to happen. Pennsylvania, even if they certify, going to get tossed out. Georgia, Michigan, it doesn't matter that they're certifying and the media is having a collective premature orgasm, and now this just sets up this whole, this is it. Trump has now finally got to concede the inevitable. He's lost. It's over. No, it's not. Because again, that's the diversion. That's the, watch this over here. Pay attention. Oh, look, the president, he's even putting together a transition team to welcome Biden in. And while the media is all focused on that, they're not paying attention over here. There were things that they purposely threw into the courts that they knew would get thrown out. They did that on purpose. That's part of, here we go again, boys and girls, the art of the diversion. Pay attention over here. Pay attention over here. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. You know, some of you got really mad at me yesterday, and that's okay. In fact, if you ever listen to my radio show, the tagline to my radio show is, I really don't care if I make you mad as long as I make you think. Because at least you're thinking. And most people don't think. They just get spoon-fed a narrative, and then they run with it. And I am going to say to a few of you, you're being spoon-fed a narrative too. It's a narrative that you like, therefore you don't mind running with it. But you should never just take at face value what somebody else spoon feed you. I tell that to my church members all the time. You need to be a Berean Christian, which means you need to be in the Word to make sure that what I'm presenting to you from the pulpit isn't some half-jack heresy. And the same is true even when you are hearing a political discourse that you agree with. Make sure you've done your homework. Think it all the way through. And I'm telling you, Team Trump has actually distanced themselves from Sydney. I'm not saying that makes her bad and that makes that they've hung her out to dry. No, they're going to let her take the heat right now for all of this voter fraud stuff. They're going to let the media dwell on her and go after her over the whole voter fraud, and they'll be absolutely unmerciful. Why Trump now? Why he's transitioning? He's welcoming Joe Biden. They're going to talk about now why even the Secret Service is getting ready, many of them, to make the permanent move down to Florida with him to safeguard the former president. That is all diversion. Where this is heading is the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court rules on this based on election laws that were subverted, then these elections in these states, and not just certain areas, the entire state, doesn't matter if they certified, the Supreme Court's going to say, no, this is no good. You violated your own law. By Georgia, by Pennsylvania, by Michigan, this business where, they just randomly decided to extend voting, and they extended the mail-in dates, and they extended, and no state legislative body was engaged on this at all. And I would remind the governor of Georgia, remember, you ran against someone who never conceded, and if President Trump hadn't campaigned for you, you wouldn't be seated as the governor of Georgia right now. Mitt Romney tweeted out or put something on his Facebook page the other day about the great values he learned from his father. And there's a picture of his dad and Mitt when he's like, 13, with buck teeth and a buzz cut. And, we'll talk about the great values that his father instilled in him. And I don't want to be, denigrate his dad. Didn't know his dad. But I did put a comment on his Facebook page. He said, hey, it might have been nice if your dad had taught you something about loyalty. Because Mitt wouldn't even be a senator right now if he hadn't gone and apologized to President Trump for the hit job that he tried to do on him during the primary season. And then when he got elected, the president went and campaigned for him, got him his Senate seat, and then immediately he turned on him like a rabid dog. Okay, Mitt. And again, the disloyalty of even the governor of Georgia. What are you doing? And I think a little of that was, I think that the governor of Georgia a little miffed at President Trump because President Trump did back in March go after Georgia for reopening too soon. And that was because there was a time period during the whole corona crisis that the president was listening a little bit too much to Dr. Fauci, and we all agree on that. And Dr. Fauci was a gift given to him by the real enemy within, Mike Pence. And isn't it amazing how silent Mike Pence is being in a lot of this right now? But that's another topic for another day. Again, if I make you mad, I don't care. I want you to think. And I want you to know that I absolutely support this president, what he's doing right now, and I get where this is all heading. And it's not about voter fraud and Dominion voting machines. That's not what's going to turn this thing around. It has to go to the Supreme Court on the election laws violated. They're then going to uncertify certain states. And then at that point, boys and girls, it goes to the House of Representatives, where each state gets one vote. We would like to think that because the majority of states in this country have Republican legislative bodies, Republican governors, but then again, don't think for a moment that there aren't some deep staters in those governor mansions. So, that's the end game. That's where the president is taking this. So again, everybody, relax, breathe. Don't get all caught up in the Kraken's coming. The Kraken, we got it now. Man, she's got it. She's a diversion. The media is focused on that. They're now focusing on transition, and they have completely missed what Donald Trump is up to, thinking he's lost 30 cases. No, he hadn't. No, he hadn't. You got to lose those so that he can keep appealing, so it can get to where he wants it to go, the United States Supreme Court. And thus endeth the lesson, boys and girls.